In actuality, my last name is Tako. But I've always gotten, because my first name is spelled with a PH, so I've gotten Stephen Tako. So you know when those telemarketers call you and you're trying to eat dinner? They go, yes, hello, is Stephen Tako available? I can honestly say, no, there's no Stephen Tako here. I'm Stephen Tako. And then Japanese people find that I have a very funny last name because my last name, T-A-K-O, means octopus. So they think that's very comical, you know, Mr. Octopus. But anyway, it's Hungarian. I'm half Hungarian and half Irish. And so today I want to come out and talk to you about passion and dreams. Now, many of us, we grew up, you know, thinking of, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to be when I grow old? And so we have an idea of thinking, okay, you know, my career, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be an astronaut. You know, I'm going to be a fireman. I'm going to be a doctor. And yet, what often happens is sometimes life gets in the way. All of a sudden, we find that we're married, we've got kids, we have different obligations. And that rock star person that we thought we were going to be, all of a sudden, you know, we have to give up the drums because we have to buy diapers. So things happen. Now, I want you guys to think about what it was, going way back to when you were a kid, what was it that you wanted to be? What was your dream? What was your aspiration? And I'm going to ask for somebody from this side of the room and somebody from this side of the room to volunteer and tell us what it was. It could be as crazy and wild, or it could be normal. What it was that you wanted to be, and we could have two people from here and two here. What it was that you wanted to be when you were growing up. So let's start from this side of the room. Any volunteer, just go ahead and let us know. Anybody here ever run a marathon? It could have been 10 years ago, whatever. So a marathon is how many miles?
26.
26? That's right. All right. 26.2 miles. So I decided in 1997, I'm going to go ahead and run a marathon. My first marathon. So I'm training with my friends, and I work for a magazine up in Santa Clarita where I live. And the magazine was so excited that somebody on their staff was going to be running the marathon, that they're taking all these pictures of me training with my friends, and they're putting it inside the magazine, and on the day of the marathon, they were going to have this big brochure, like a souvenir brochure, that had my picture in it. Well, 2 weeks before the marathon, I'm training with this girl who's a much faster runner than me, and I'm running along, and all of a sudden, I realize I injured my knee. Oh, no. 2 weeks before the marathon. What am I going to do? And I learned something when I was there about myself. I learned several amazing things. One is that I am so insignificant compared to all of God's beauty. All of the wonderful things that are out there. I'm just this tiny speck. And I realized that, you know, eventually I'm going to be gone. And you know what? They're not going to shut Yellowstone National Park down because I'm gone, right? All the visitors will keep coming year after year after year. And those wild beasts and their descendants will continue to be there. And the geysers that are there, some of those geysers are ancient, and some of them are newer, and are changing colors over the years. Those geysers are constantly reinventing themselves. I'm so insignificant. What is my legacy? What's my purpose here? What am I doing? Okay, I have a son, so part of my legacy is being carried on with my son, and I do the best I can, and he is a great kid. He's going to be 16 in June. Fantastic kid. So I've got my legacy with him, but what else? I'm so talented. I have gifts to give out. You can still do this, but paint that picture, sing that song, write that story, do these things that you need to do before life ends. And I realized it comes down to sometimes just beating the odds. right? Remember how we said we're taking the easy way, we're taking the hard way, we got to think about things? Because the hard way, the odds are against us. Isn't it true that most businesses that start up, that during their first year they fail? And isn't that hard for us to sink in? Like, okay, why in our right mind would we want to open up a business when we know the odds are against us? Can anybody tell me the first time that all of us, we all did this at the same time, when we first beat the odds? When was the earliest time that every human being beat incredible odds? Before then. When they were conceived. When they were conceived. Okay? Is that when we put our mind to something, there are so many things that we can do. There are so many things that we can accomplish. And yet, we allowed life to get in the way. But we don't have to. Right? We don't have to. We're at a point right now where it's like, hey, we can be creative. We don't have those restrictions. Maybe we can't run a marathon now, but we can do wonderful things. We can write our memoirs. We can leave our legacy. What legacy are we all leaving here? Everybody in this room, what legacy are you leaving behind? You've got maybe kids, maybe some of you don't have kids. Did you write a book? Did you record a song? Did you help a company get organized so that they stay in business? I mean, there's so many possibilities. Did you nurture someone? Are you just an ear so that somebody can come and talk to you? So what I want to say is now that we've talked a bit about what I want to do, what you want to do. By the way, at 46 years old, I became a recording artist. I have 2 songs on iTunes. Part of being single now has allowed me to explore the freedom of being creative. My wife, my ex-wife, I still love her. I think she's a wonderful person. But had I still been married, I never would have been able to write my book. Had I been married, I would not be here today because she didn't want me to be a public speaker. I wouldn't be an actor. So now I'm able to explore these things in my life, and I wish the best for my wife, and I hope she finds a wonderful guy that likes what she does, and he likes what she does. And my son. That's awesome. That's what typical kids would think of, right? It would be absurd for an adult to think that they still want to be Captain Marvel. But for a kid, isn't it true that, when we're younger, we think these extraordinary, bizarre thoughts, but we have so much potential as kids. I have a girl that I'm talking to recently. We went to high school together, and I was just looking at her 8th grade picture. And her 8th grade picture, she's got this nice smile and a Dorothy Hamill haircut. And I realized, as we're talking, that she's in an unhappy marriage. Her husband, she described him as mean and controlling. And I said, look back at that picture that we were just talking about in 8th grade, and think about the aspirations and all the things that 8th grader wanted to do, and she was so happy, and she had her whole life ahead of her, and all these wonderful things that she could still be accomplishing. What advice are you going to give to that little girl? Are you going to tell her that it's okay to be in this relationship with some guy who's mean and controlling and never kisses you? She said they never kiss. Right? What kind of life is that? Is that there's no passion there? So we have these inner kids inside us. All of us still do. No matter what age you are. I was this kid that was picked on all the time. I was a nice kid. I never stood up for myself. I was a kid that people would hit me from behind, and I'd look back and they'd all be laughing, and I had no idea who it was. And I'd turn this way, and somebody else would knock my lunch pail out, and then my thermos, you could hear all the glass rattling inside because it was broken. I had all these terrible things happen to me. In my book, you'll read, if you get my book, in chapter 1, I put in 2 stories. In chapter 1 is called The Damaged Child. And it deals with a lot of the pain that I had to put up with when I was a kid. And it's amazing that I'm as cheerful and outgoing as I am. When I look back at that little kid, it took me 3 years of moving away to California, which is about, because I grew up in a small farming community in Ohio. It took me about 5 years after graduating high school to forgive the kids that I went to elementary school with. Because I'm carrying all that weight on my shoulder for all these years. How many of us in this room right now have had somebody, somebody back from years ago that said negative things to you? You were the one that was different. You were the one that had freckles. You were the one that had the red hair. You were the one that had a mom and no dad. Whatever it is, okay? We were all different. And we all had our uniqueness, and yet we wanted to blend in together. We wanted to be like the other people, and then all of a sudden we've got this crowd of people that we're like, right? Because we want to feel like we fit in, and then all of a sudden somebody wants to go outside and be something, do something for their life, and the other people don't want to let that person go, and they try to yank you back in. Thank you. So I want to instill over the next 2 hours that I have with you. We'll all be walking away with a whole new lifestyle. No. But seriously, in the time that I have with you, we're going to be talking about living a confident life and how to get past some limiting beliefs. Sound good? Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so I wanted to be a recording artist. I had this dream that I was going to go ahead. My mom used to sit in the folding laundry, and I'd be in the living room, and I'd do these big dance numbers, and I'd be singing, and I always thought that somehow I'd make it on like American Bandstand, and I'd be cutting records and all this stuff. So these are things that we aspire to do that somehow, for whatever reason, we didn't do. Now I will tell you that I'm no exception here, where I heard a lot of negative things growing up. Okay, anybody know if you think back to your childhood, the kid that got picked on a lot, the one that was different, for whatever reason. A lot of us, when I find out as I'm doing my public speaking, a lot of us find out that it's us. We thought that we were the one that was getting picked on. And I find out that so many people had so many words given to them by other kids, by their parents, by teachers, that were so detrimental. And the things that we heard, like I was told I would never amount to anything. Okay? I was told even as recently as a year ago when I was starting to write my book, by someone who is well-meaning, they think that they're helping me, but they're like, oh, Stephen, who's going to read your book? Right? Okay, our bodies are designed to always want. We want to gain things. Okay? We want to move forward. Does anybody want to quit anything? Don't we want to focus on what we really want in life? That's how words are so powerful. That our brain is so fantastic that it protects us from negative things. Okay? We filter out naturally negative words. So never give up. Okay? What is so awful about that saying is the word never. Okay? I don't want never in my life. Okay? So subconsciously, or our unconscious mind eliminates bad things. Okay? It wants to protect us. It wants us to move forward. We like green lights. We like to go forward in life. Okay? I don't want to quit anything. I don't want to stop. I don't want to never. And so it filters out those bad words.